Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, still taking issue with Batman Eternal. In the previous issue, Batwing was partnered up with Jim Corrigan, host of The Spectre, so that the pair might investigate some strange doings going on beneath Arkham Asylum. The Dark Knight was on his way to investigate an explosion at a cafe, part of the growing gang war, when he noticed a truck he had tagged belonging to Carmine Falcone was in the area. And then it exploded. Also, Dr. Phosphorus might be dead, but hey, the book doesn't care, so...
In issue 7, Tim Seeley on script, the driver is rescued from the fiery wreckage, telling Batman he was hired anonymously online. The Batmobile is set to autopilot to take the man to a hospital in a side chair that folds out from the car. If it's supposed to fold back inside, or just drive with the guy outside, we never see. Meanwhile, we find that the Sinclair's meat butchery is where Professor Pig had set up lab, and he's none too happy about it being on fire. Pig opens up a trailer filled with masked minions wielding power tools, and I don't think they're headed for the nearest Habitat for Humanity. Batman launches a motorcycle from his car in a scene that looks simultaneously neat and also crazy toyetic.
I could explain to you what the word toyetic means, but I think people should learn about it the same way I did. An episode of Freakazoid.
At Penguin's casino, he's questioning one of his men, Fishnet Face, so called because, well, obviously. A redhead apparently seduced him and he led her into the back room, which is not news Pengy wants to hear, only leaving him alive because war fodder. He finds a discarded disguise and recognizes the tactic. At first falling for one of his girls set up as a distraction, Catwoman reveals herself, saying that Cobblepot's fight with Falcone is starting to affect the people in the Gotham Underground, namely making them disappear. A splash page shows Batman dealing with Pig's Dolatrons, like riding his motorcycle while dragging one's face across the ground. Way to handle someone being mind-controlled, dude. Don't get too attached to this scene because we immediately jump to the north side, at Rhodes Motors, where the speedster owner is apprising Carmine Falcone. Rhodes, evidently, used to act as Pig's courier, and the unsettling nature of this task made him none too fond of Professor Other Whitemeat. As he says that the real rulers of the city will take it back soon, we jump to a boat where Tiger Shark and some scuba divers are waiting for orders. And then it's back to the casino.
Ugh. I know this is a big story, but all this jumping around is starting to give me vertigo.
Firing at Catwoman, Penguin says he wouldn't demean himself to dealing with the Underground unless he had to. Selina is soon knocked down, but just as a Bayside perimeter alert sounds off, Penguin activates the camera on one of his scouts, Commander Wilhelm, but it is swiftly consumed by an orca whale.
I wonder, did Wilhelm scream?
Batman is still fighting Dolatrons while Pig rambles about being misunderstood. He's so mad that he'll have his crew take out anyone in the vicinity, like someone from across the street just trying to help. We're again jumped to the casino, where Catwoman subdues Penguin for information. Ozzy says that his only dealings was offering Phosphorus and his people protection. Apparently, the missing underground folk have Doc Glowstick spooked enough to ally with Penguin. He knows Catwoman is avoiding taking sides, but this conflict is bigger than others before. Whereas Cobblepot unified the gangs to control the violence, Falcone wants the return of the bad old days when children caught bullets meant for thugs and murderers. Way to be the lesser of two evils, Ozzy. Either Catwoman decides her destiny, or it's decided for her. And just then, Tiger Shark's scuba team plants and detonates explosives below the casino.
It's alright if Catwoman has a friendly relationship with the poor and downtrodden in Gotham, but any such relationship, as well as these people apparently gone missing, should have been established in the story already. We should have seen it in a couple of panels before this fight, because now the fight doesn't really have much impact. It's just two people fighting spontaneously. It's like this wasn't even very well planned as a story, and they just put it in last second, which would fit in with the general New 52 feel. Also, we get surprised that Dr. Phosphorus is apparently one of the Gotham Underground. He's buddies with them too. However that happened, and however he escaped Arkham.
Falcone enjoys the destruction from a distance as we get a glimpse inside the casino as it starts to crumble. Batman, restrained by Dolatrons, is informed of the iceberg situation and tells Pig that Falcone used him. It was all a distraction for Bats so that the Roman could take out Cobblepot. As the professor becomes disheartened that his work means nothing to this turf war, Batman frees himself and headbutts Pig's toy into his masked face. The pig goes oink.
Then the pig goes,
You broke my nose in 3 places!
As the casino begins sinking, Penguin starts to save as much of his money as he can, and Catwoman does the same. But, with people. There are patrons and Penguin goons alike rushing out, and Penguin is seen swimming for all his worth with his money. We see a couple bodies in the water, too, probably not doing as well as he is. Penguin narrowly escapes the whale that previously ate his penguin cam, with Catwoman pulling him out of the water just in the nick of time. At the fire consuming Peg's lab, Commissioner Forbes watches firefighters tackle the inferno until an officer calls his attention to the subdued pig and a couple Dolatrons. To send a message that the police do not work with capes anymore, Forbes begins freeing them.
"No ulterior motives here. I'm a good cop. This is totally for the city's benefit. Boo, Jim Gordon. Evil."
Back where the Iceberg Casino used to be, Bats thanks Catwoman for her role in saving lives. Penguin mourns his massive material losses, insisting he saved Gotham, not Batman. Later at Rhodes Motors, the owner is showing off a slick model to a prospective customer. He shows off the inside of the trunk, revealing a pig with a grenade in its mouth, and the pin tied to the trunk's hood. A series of explosions takes out the dealership, and you can see some cars on the lot being shot into the air. It's all watched by Professor Pig, having figured out his former courier had betrayed him. But the gift in return is that all of Gotham is now his lab.
Yeah, he says that now, but pay him enough and he'll fudge his research for the sake of clickbaity internet articles. Hey, maybe he should intern at the Gotham Gazette.
Issue 8, John Layman on script, begins with a scuba team searching the bottom of Gotham Harbor, finding the remnants of the Iceberg Casino. It's not long before they find what they're after: Penguin's money room and the King's ransom therein. They're about to pack it up when the Bat Sub intervenes. What follows is several panels of Batman taking on criminal after criminal across Gotham. The third panel in this sequence is, shall we say, a unique choice. Going vertical isn't necessarily a bad thing, just kind of unexpected and a little weird. Anyway, after hitting at least 6 Falcone operations, Batman gives one goon a message, one delivered the next day to the boss. This is only the beginning. The Roman will pay for everything he's done to the city.
Just don't tell Jim Gordon. He's probably blaming himself for the sinking casino.
Upon being told all this, Falcone scoffs at the idea of any of his men spending time in jail, reiterating to the reader that he's got the cops in his pocket. My advice to Falcone to clarify things for Batman would be to show, not tell, but if the writers ignore that rule, why wouldn't the characters they're writing? Harvey Bullock and Jason Bard found the subdued goons, but their orders are to let them go, as Batman did the subduing. Instead of following Forbes' orders too literally, Bullock repeats the basic story points of the gang war v. War on Batman, Dawn of Convolution, and opts to let the goons free themselves. It was because of this that Falcone got this information later than he would have liked, and instructs Tiger Shark to see the goon out, with a warning not to fail in the future. Carmine makes a call, leaving a message for Forbes that Batman must learn tonight that the city is no longer his.
No, I said Batman. The city no longer belongs to Batman. Why would the city belong to Jason Bateman?
Bruce is in the Batcave working out while also investigating Hong Kong, where Falcone fled and apparently amassed an unrivaled criminal empire, yet only to return to Gotham after 5 years. Figuring he might find some overlap that could hint to the Romans' plans, Bruce has Alfred cross-reference Interpol records on Falcone Associates with the day's GCPD bookings. One small hitch, though. There aren't any bookings. None of the near 24 thugs Batman left to the cops were arrested. Alfred thinks that the transitional phase could explain the police not operating at peak efficiency, but Bats thinks the problem lies with the new commissioner.
Just to be sure, I'll have to plant a listening device in his office and wait until he starts murdering evil off and on.
Bullock drops Bard off at a 2-day-old crime scene when Vicky Vale shows up asking questions, such as if this is an example of timely police response. It never gets answered, which is an underlying theme with this series. Instead, Bard confirms he's the new hotshot lieutenant Gordon brought into town, even though he hasn't really done anything to warrant being called hotshot, and that there were 3 people gunned down in an event seemingly unrelated to the gang war. While trying to grasp Gotham's day-to-day violence, Bard wants to lay a fresh pair of eyes on the scene to maybe explain what happened. There were no witnesses or leads, so the only people who knew anything were probably the killers and their victim in the shot-up, taped-up phone booth.
Now, when Superman is visiting Gotham, where is he going to go to change to and from Clark Kent?
2 days earlier, Stephanie Brown is in that very phone booth, trying to call her mom again. She'd been waiting 45 minutes, but it's too dangerous for her to stay in one place, out in the open, given what her dad is involved in. We cut to Steph's mom playing the message for Cluemaster, the second since they last spoke, and depending on what her daughter knows, she could ruin things for both of them. Certainly makes Crystal seem pretty complicit, doesn't it? But she needn't worry. I won't let that nosy little brat spoil everything I've worked so hard for.
How clever. So, did Crystal play that message for Cluemaster the second it was left? It's apparently been 45 minutes since Steph first called, and then her parents had that secret TV chat, and since then she's left 2 messages, so she's clearly been on the move, as indicated when she said goodbye the first time and then walked away from the phone. So, how does she expect her mom to find her? And just how complicit is her mom in all this?
As Artie says he's got people on their way to deal with her, someone is calling Steph out of the booth. A man throws her out, saying she's been hogging it too long, and calls someone as Steph walks away. A car, occupied by at least 2 guys with ping-pong balls over their heads, stops and starts shooting at the phone booth, and as Stephanie dives to the ground, we see 2 other people in the background taking fire.
Oh wow. I totally believed Stephanie was going to be killed. I'm completely surprised by this turn of events.
Cutting to the present, Bard says that the truth is the first step in getting justice for the victims. Vale is impressed by the philosophy and its quotability, but wonders what it means for the gang war. Bard can't comment on that, at least in part because he doesn't know Vale very well. Vicky asks if that means they should get better acquainted. The dialogue says she's hitting on him, but that look feels more sternly indifferent. That's when Bard gets a call from Forbes. Later that night, the lieutenant meets the commissioner on the roof of the precinct, saying he doesn't like this.
I think I was going to get a date with Ginger Lois Lane. Ginger Lois Lane!
Right now, Forbes is commissioner, so it's his police force and his plan. What Bard thinks will matter if he's ever commissioner. Hint, hint. He shines the bat signal, certain the bat will show up, despite Bard thinking he would be too smart. In the Batplane, Alfred says he'd prefer Bruce to come home, but for the sake of Gotham and Gordon, Batman, seeing the signal, wants to try. When he arrives, Bats explains he and Gordon had an understanding, and even though Forbes is a different breed of cop, maybe they too could reach one. Forbes snaps back that Gordon was a rotten cop with no respect for the law, and he wants Batman in a cell next to him.
You're evil, aren't you?
Batman insists they want the same thing, criminals off the streets, but Forbes replies that he wants to start with the Dark Knight. He gives Batman a chance to surrender, but is cut off when Bard orders D-Unit to open fire.
Bard? I wanted to say that! Jerk.
A smoke grenade volley misses its target, creating the kind of environment we all know Bats thrives in. He takes out a couple cops until Bard has his sidearm trained on him, then retracts it, letting Batman go. He's either showing he wants to ally with the Batman, or he knows what happens to most people who pull a gun on him and doesn't have the health insurance for dislocated everything. Later, Forbes smashes the bat signal, eliminating any further symbols of Batman's alliance with the police. He then starts tearing into Bard for ordering D-Unit to open fire when they had a plethora of tools planned before a smokescreen. Bard says that seeing Batman for the first time made him nervous and he choked. Forbes says he'll be watching the lieutenant, as he's unsure if he's useless, incompetent, stupid, or something else.
That's much the same thing a lot of readers have been saying about the higher-ups at DC for a long time. in which case I suspect a combination of the above myself.
At the Batcave, Bruce ponders if maybe he has more cop support than he thought in Bard. Being handpicked by Gordon is a plus, even though he's among few such allies. He's not worried about the rest of the cops hunting him, though, as he's taking a trip to try and get into Falcone's head by investigating his past in Hong Kong. When he arrives 1 page later, we see a woman in a black bodysuit scaling a building taking notice of the Batplane, wondering what he's doing there.
Well, her cleavage isn't needlessly exposed so as to shamelessly rip off Black Cat, so it's probably not Catwoman.
Issue 9, scripted by John Layman, has Commissioner Forbes leaving the precinct after his shift and getting into a cab. He instructs the cabbie where to go, saying he's late for a dinner meeting, then recognizes the driver as Roadrunner. Meep meep. He's restrained with shackles and a harness, as outside, the car reveals a rocket booster and zooms off into the street. Wait, I thought people hated that Taxi movie. How did Jimmy Fallon get a sequel greenlit? Anyway, Forbes fails to intimidate Roadrunner with his status, as he was taken to meet Falcone. It seems another operation was hit, leaving his men in need of medical attention, and $375,000 stolen, making Falcone disappointed in Forbes' effort to get a handle on Gotham's freaks. Forbes is surprised at the idea of Batman becoming a thief, but Carmine corrects him. They're talking about Catwoman.
You suck, you stupid SJW. You know, I had another Black Cat cleavage ripoff joke here, but apparently once was enough to incite the rage of pervy fanboys.
Caressing his scars, again, Falcone says he has unresolved business with the cat and wants her to be another top priority for the police, and hopefully have better luck than with pointy-eared vigilantes. Forbes insists they've got Batman running scared, what with him not being seen in a while. But Falcone knows better. If the Bat hasn't been seen in Gotham, then he isn't in Gotham. Falcone's right, of course. This splash page shows Batman is naturally fighting off a gang of devil-masked, fire sword-wielding criminals in Hong Kong. Come on, what do you do on vacation? As one foe seems to get the drop on him, he's taken down by Batman of Japan. Apparently, Bats wanted Jiro to meet him in Hong Kong when the Ghost Dragons, enforcers of the crime lord Shen Fang, attacked when he touched down. Jiro says that when Shen won his gang war with Falcone, he declared all of Hong Kong his territory.
We'll see about that.
Get me Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan.
That mystery lady is still on the side of that building, muttering she wants Bats to keep out of her business. This is either taking place immediately after the last issue, or she has no place else to hang out. Jiro takes them to a Wayne Industries building with a penthouse exclusively for Batman Inc. purposes, and explaining things that Bats probably already knows. They're greeted by Jiro's partner Canary, who's seen here altering her size, which is weird because I thought she was perpetually bird-sized, but whatever, and Master Hong, brewer and reader of tea. Hong cautions Batman not to stay any longer than absolutely necessary, as a growing danger in Gotham has yet to reveal itself.
I can't say what danger precisely. It's jasmine tea, not chamomile, for crying out loud.
Inside the penthouse, which is decorated to evoke the classic Batcave, Canary pulls some files on the Lan Kwai Fong massacre, and Jiro mentions he's become quite familiar with certain events while dealing with Hong Kong's gang war, a 5-year period of fighting and death which eventually led to Japanese shores, when Falcone hired Yakuza out of Tokyo, and Shen countered with Shanghai Triads. Other organizations fell during their power struggle.
Well, phew! Between Batman of Japan showing up and the Godzilla-esque statuary, I figured someone wasn't aware in which country Hong Kong was located, which would probably have been something of a black eye for a Godzilla fan like Scott Snyder.
Jiro continues that Falcone so dominated the conflict, many figured he'd already won, until one day when he just up and left, leaving Shen to take control. He usurped Falcone's men, operations, and even a compound in Kowloon, where he may be hiding behind a slew of trained protectors. Sure enough, the pointy-eared pair soon arrive at the compound, making their way past several guards. Jiro eventually offers to handle the rest alone, while Bats goes to question Fang. He takes down a couple more guards before encountering the mystery woman from earlier, who tells Batman that Shen Fang belongs to her.
Context?
The woman is no bodyguard. She intends to make Shen pay for his crimes and cripple organizations like his across Asia, starting in Hong Kong. No pressure there. After a kick to the face, Batman says if she's telling the truth, they should work together. And with that look on his face, who'd say no? But she doesn't want to risk Bats fouling up what she's worked for. Then Shang decides to do that himself by perforating her gut with a sword.
So Batman didn't see the very large man behind the very lithe woman he just stabbed? What the heck, man?
This ticks Batman off, and after landing one punch, he figures it's as good a time as any to start asking how Fang won the war. Fang reiterates that he'll never talk, but after a knee to the face and Bats busting his sword over his leg, he changes his tune. He says that Falcone got wind of a lucrative opportunity back in Gotham, so Fang bought him out. The Roman didn't care whom people thought won their war, so long as he got a 60% cut from Hong Kong operations. Pathetic. Literal insult to injury. Two of Shen's men run off, and Jiro, just arriving, suggests letting them go. Word will spread of Shen's purchased victory, with dishonor and a dissolved empire soon to follow. The question still remains, what drew Falcone back to Gotham? And then there's also that woman that Shen stabbed.
And what's all that red stuff leaking out of her shirt? Should we, just leave her here?
In Gotham, hours later, Catwoman threatens the vault combination out of a guy and opens it up to find officers that instantly taser her and smack her with a nightstick. Falcone orders them to stand down. He's taking it from here. He tells Selina that her greed and vendetta make her predictable, and recalls the night she scarred him 5 years ago, because apparently this series thinks all of existence started in 2009.
I don't know, man. Science suggests women dig scars. Play your cards right, she might have done you a favor. Won't know until you try, is all I'm saying.
Falcone threatens that Selina's impending scars will be worse, but at least she won't have to live with them.
Which obviously means he will pay for the cosmetic surgery she'll need to have those scars fixed. I don't know any other way to interpret that.
Meanwhile, the Batplane is headed back to Gotham with an extra passenger. Batman tells Penny 1 to prepare a guest room for an injured woman. Alfred asks if now's the time to be taking in strays, to which Batman replies to the affirmative. After some extensive investigation, probably into the ambiguity database where you don't have to explain your sources, Batman finally turned up an ID, a Special Reconnaissance Regiment operative named Julia Pennyworth, news that seems to cause Alfred to deflate. The SRR and China must not have any medical training. Why else would Batman not take her to the nearest hospital and instead take all that time to dig up her identity while flying hours back to Gotham to be treated by his butler? So did he just let her bleed for a while he did the digging, found out it was Alfred's kid, and then decide to take her home? Or did he decide, screw Chinese medicine, I'm going to just take this mystery woman to my mansion and look her up online while I fly? You might say, on the fly.
It's worth noting that Julia Pennyworth actually predates the Flashpoint reboot by a while. She was originally created in 1981 by Jerry Conway and Don Newton, first appearing in Detective Comics 501. Her mother, Mademoiselle Marie, was a World War II resistance fighter who had a relationship with Alfred. But because of the dangerous nature of her work, she was mostly raised by a family friend, Jacques Remarque, and would use his surname for a time. She was erased from existence in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but now gets the New 52 treatment. And like so many other characters, she's probably better off not existing.
Tune in next time when maybe we'll get the most awkward game of Family Feud ever recorded. But probably not.